Welcome to Lighting the Way, Granny Raps and Rocks. I am Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks.
And my name is James Maynard, otherwise known as the Songbird. I'll be manning the chat tonight, so please chat with us. I'll pass it on to Beth and she can talk directly to you if you're live in person.
And if you're not here in person when we're here in person, leave your comments anyway, and I will reply to them later.
There you go.
So now I'm going to do what everybody else does. I'm going to say, if you like this show, give it a love, give it a like, and follow our page and share this program, because that's how the light gets out, is through your sharing. We don't have a big advertising budget, so.
There we go.
And
looky here. We already have a big hello from Tracy, who sends a heart of love and caring. God bless you, Tracy. Same to you.
welcome, Tracy, and welcome to everyone else who's here who hasn't identified themselves yet. So tonight I'm going to continue the series on the ego that we started 2 times ago. The first show, part 1, it's called Empowering Ourselves, Not the Ego.
Right.
The first show, we talked about how the ego comes to be and what it's really like. Ooh.
And Karen says, hello from, she's got a green heart of friendly love, got a butterfly, and another green heart.
Excellent, Karen. It is great to see you live. Just great. So in that first show, as I said, I talked about how the ego gets formed, why it is the way it is, and what it does to us. So that was very, very clear, simple, and helpful. You can always go back and watch that show because it's just from 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And last week, we had another fun show on the ego where we talked about ways to tell whether or not you're in your ego. And we only got through, I think, five, and there were 23. So the plan is today that I'm going to talk about something else, but James, you're supposed to have the book here.
Would you like me to get the book?
Get the book because
Look in the book, it's quicker.
you're going to, hopefully there'll be enough time to share 1 or 2 little tips on how to tell that you're in your ego, because we only did the 5. So tonight, instead of talking about, the rest of the 18, I want to talk about how the ego gets in the way of love and what to do about it. So hopefully we'll get smarter and smarter, right? So first of all, just as a quick reminder, how I defined the ego is it's our awareness of individual existence. In other words, we are aware of ourselves. When I was a child, and I kid you not about this, I used to actually think, maybe I'm the only person who's real and everybody else is in a story.
Oh.
I actually had that thought. Well, that's not true. I mean, I am not the only one who's real. But that was kind of a childish view of the world. But many of us have that childish view.
You did feel pretty separate from other people.
Oh, my God, yes. I felt extremely separate. And I think, many of us still think of the world as like we're the only ones who are real and have feelings and problems, and everybody else is like a prop that we look at from the outside.
I'd like to also add something else you said. This is that the ego arises from your instinctive desire to have your needs met. And so it's you and trying to work things in your life to meet your needs.
Oh, exactly. That actually the ego is a creation. It's, oh my goodness, we have a couple of more hellos.
Yes, Kat says hi, good evening, and sends love and a star, a bright shining star, and a teddy bear, and a couple of big eyes.
Wonderful.
Watching you
Hello,
too.
Catalina.
Yes, and then good evening from Todd.
Good
and he
evening,
gives a big
Todd.
wave and hello. And Elizabeth says hello and sends a heart of love and and affection.
Hello, and okay, Lily, get off my foot. So, yeah, so it's kind of a series of programs. If you want to think about it that way, the ego is a series of programs that we've created and adapted in order to get our needs met, and we learn how to manipulate the world or dominate the world or be, cutesy pie to the world or whatever it is that we do in order to survive because life is a struggle and it's very difficult. So now understanding that in fact we are not separate, but the ego thinks of us as separate because it's all about my survival. It's all about me. Okay. Whereas the reality is that we are all connected. I mean, that is not some metaphysical hoorah. That is the truth. You just look around you and you tell me if there's anything in your life that you have created all by yourself.
I don't think there is anything. And Amy says, "Hi, Beth and James. Love you both." Well, thank you, Amy, and we love you too.
Thank you,
and
Amy.
And she sends a couple of smiling faces of love and also a big heart of love.
Love it,
Thank
love
you.
it. Even if you're an artist and you're doing a painting, unless you made the canvas and you created the paint and you built the building in which you are and you created the clothing that you're wearing when you're painting, you probably are not painting that alone. You see what I mean? We are all part of a web. And so what we know, in fact, in our higher consciousness, is that if we need everybody to be well, everybody to be functional in order for us to function in life, it's a difficult thing to be the only one who's functioning, right? We want to think we're the only ones who are functioning, but in fact, to be the only one who are functioning, that would mean you go out to get the bus and it's not there. Or you get into your car and the steering wheel has fallen off. So actually,
or the car won't start.
Or the car won't start. So we really need everyone to be functional, everybody to be well, everybody to be fed, and all of that. Now, I want to get to the love part. And this part is, I'm going to be focusing, at least in the beginning, on kind of relationship love, not metaphysical love for the planet. I'm just talking about, between people. For the planet, I'm talking about, down and dirty love. Okay. So you meet a guy, or a gal, or a them, and you look them over. And you may feel attracted to them, like hormonally. I don't even remember what that feels like. I'm too old to have any hormones. But anyway, we may have that. But there is another aspect, and we have to be honest about this. We are evaluating them. We laugh when we think of parents saying to us, well, but he's not a good catch. He already has 10 children with 10 other women. And he's a drug addict and he doesn't make a living. I don't think he's a really good catch, right? And we say, oh, Mom, what do you know about love, right? But in a way, we're all making those computations in our head when we meet somebody. Mm-hmm. Oh, so he has his own business. He has his own house. Or he doesn't, right? Or he's attractive to other people. Ooh, that's really important, right? You meet somebody who's attractive to others and you say, ooh, that's a catch, right? Or, thank God I finally met a man who's taller than I am because I'm 6'4". I mean, there's all of these calculations.
Or you feel the chemistry.
You feel.
Maybe it's lust at first sight.
Well, that's what I was talking about in the beginning, the hormones. But I'm saying that in addition to the hormones, we have all these calculations that we aren't sometimes even aware of, that we're making these calculations. Oh, it looks like he has money. He's going to take me to a nice restaurant. Right. Or they're going to take me to a nice restaurant. They didn't take me to a nice restaurant. I wonder why.
Is there a problem here?
Is there? Well, we're always looking.
What's wrong with this person?
Indeed, we're always looking to see if our first infatuation is going to bear fruit. And then, but we're so busy trying to attract them that we often blind ourselves to the obvious. They say that they're millionaires, but their car is about 60 years old, and it's not a collectible either. So it could be, or they have needle tracks going up their arm, or something else. But so we start collecting information about them that either corroborates our feeling of like, woo, this is a catch, or negates that feeling like, maybe.
I'd like to share something. Chris Rock once said something very funny about when you first meet a person, you're not meeting that person, you're meeting their representative.
That's right.
And so if you fall for the representative, you've got a problem, because that's not the person.
Well, and very often that's exactly what people are showing us. So
Their better side.
And so here I am. I'm trying to figure out what you can do for me. Ask not what you can do for yourself, but ask what you can do for your country. Something like that. Remember JFK? Well, those of you who are old enough may actually remember that. So it's like, well, the first thing that we look at. Now, sometimes what the person is going to do for us is give us a sense of importance. Oh, yes. Oh, that poor person. Oh, they need me so. And they're still doing something for us. What they're doing is puffing us up, making us feel important in our own minds, you see? So they're still doing something for us. Now, another thing that we often do, is anybody else ready to admit this?
Yeah.
Okay, like
Oh, yeah.
you estimate, you try to figure out what's their net worth. Okay, you also try to figure
Well,
out,
also, do they fit my pictures
do they fit your picture of what you want?
of what I've been culturally conditioned to want?
That's right. Or another thing that we do is we look at their family. Now, sometimes we're looking at their family because we want to know if there's anybody going to back us up. If we marry this schnook, oh, yeah, he may not be making much, but it's okay because his dad, that we don't approve of because he's a dirty capitalist, has lots of money to bail us out and can give great presents to the kids.
Mm.
So we're also evaluating the family. In my case, I have to admit, very shameful, that my first husband, that was so long ago, I loved his mother
Aha.
and his mother's friend. And they were the people that I was really attracted to. I felt happy with them. I loved his mother more than I loved my own. So I wanted to be in that family, and that is not that unusual, unless you have some shitty family, which also happens. But are you understanding? We all have these calculations. You have a very good point, Jane. We all have different calculations, whether it's cultural, it's societal, it's our little group. When we're in the little group, and our group wants somebody who's really cool. And so we meet someone who's really cool. Actually, we have nothing to say to the person, man, woman, or it, or them. But they look so cool, and then we're going to be impressing our friends, which is so important. And it looks like we have another.
Oh, speaking of friends, here's another one of our Facebook friends, Amy. She says, oh, absolutely. I also look for the fatal flaw, so I don't have to go any further. I can get out of the fear of dealing with that potential relationship and keep safe and alone.
Very, very good. Very true, Amy. So maybe we should start talking about that side of it, because this is I, me, my. I meet somebody and I'm trying to figure out how they fit the picture of how my life is supposed to be. Now, at the same time, we may be doing that's a separation. It looks like we're, moving toward relationship, but that's actually separation, because we are looking at them kind of almost as an object or a means to an end. Now, at the same time, as Amy points out, we may be looking for a way to separate altogether because we're so scared of relating. Oh, yes. And then what happens when we start discovering the truth about this person that doesn't fit the picture? Now, what do we do? Do we stay with them? Do we break up? Oh, we really want children. We discovered that the person that we're relating to is not interested in having children, and then suddenly the tension starts. And then we start noticing their weaknesses. As Amy says, the fatal flaw, it may not be one, it may be multitudinous weaknesses. Oh, I've just noticed that you never get out of bed before 10 o'clock in the morning. How are you going to get a job and support me? Just in case you have to. Or you're very independent, you don't listen to me, and you're going to have a very successful career, which means you're always going to be at the office or traveling or something. Oh, a rock star. Oh, yes, I love it, but they're never here, never home. So I'm looking at them, I'm evaluating them. So this is still from an I perspective. Now, does anyone, again, someone else relate? I know Amy did. Did you relate, James?
I certainly do, yes.
Okay.
Well, I've likened it to trying to go sift and sort through lots and lots and lots of different considerations that I have. And perhaps the other person is doing the same. In fact,
perhaps. Indeed.
In one of my relationships, it lasted a good while, she told me after we got together that she had a list of 100 characteristics she was looking for a man. And I had 98 of them.
Oh!
But the two she missed was he had money.
Ooh!
And he didn't have a child.
Ooh! And that was it.
Was that a surprise for her?
Oh my goodness. He didn't have money and he did have a child, and I see that.
But there was enough going for us that we proceeded forward anyway.
But you didn't last, obviously, because that was
last.
not
we
me.
Didn't last, yes.
And
Tracy says, I relate.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yes.
So, where is the oneness in this? I mean, it's really
pretty separate.
Well, it is, because we're so afraid. See, being in a relationship is so much about survival. You know, when you think about it, if you have something happen to you and you're in an intimate relationship where you're really committed to each other, it's going to happen to the other person. Or if it happens to them, it's like, oh, your father died when he was 53. And you're already 47. I wonder whose genes you have. Well, you see what I'm saying? If you marry somebody that is going to die at an early age, is this really the person that I want? You may not even think about it, but it's in there somewhere. It's like, oh my God, because what happens to them happens to you. And vice versa. What happens to you happens to them. So if this person is a wild person and speaks their mind, they may get shot in a demonstration or lose their job or something, and then what happens to my security? We have another comment.
Oh, Amy says, if I don't watch out, whatever I think I don't like about the other person will challenge my opinions and perspective. Oh, no, not that.
Absolutely. Well, that is one of the terrible things, when you discover that the person that you adore doesn't really think exactly the same you do. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And here's another one.
Todd says, I relate. It's embarrassing to admit that I was not really looking for a person to relate to. I told myself I wanted to be for them. But looking back, I realized I was looking for what I want and how I think they will fulfill that.
Exactly. So that means that we tend to see each other as a means to an end. Now, is this only with mates? No. We look for a job. We may say, yes, I want to make a contribution here, but the first thing is, how does it make me feel? How is it going to make me look? How much does it pay? Do I have an opportunity to go up in this company? I'm not saying any of these things is evil or wrong. I'm saying they're all ego based. It's all starts with me, me, me. And will they fit in my life plan? And most of us are so blind to ourselves that we don't even know what our life plan is that we're trying to get someone to do. For example, we may think that we're looking for somebody with money, prestige, and property and all of it, but we're really looking for somebody who needs us. So we don't want somebody who's self-reliant. We want someone who's, he's an addict, but I love him, right? Yeah, I mean, I really love the fact that he desperately needs me. Or the wife abuser, or husband abuser, or person abuser, who then says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, baby, I'll never do it again." Oh, and part of what holds that together is the need to be the person who is superior and who is forgiving. And there's something about that melodrama which is fulfilling something in us. I don't mean that it can't happen to any. I mean, it happened to me. I was in an abusive relationship. So, but I know that if I look deeply inside myself, there is reasons for that. And it all has to do with being separate. Now, remember that we're talking about ego. And the ego says, the world revolves around me. And it's all about me. And it's really a pain in the neck to recognize that you're in a relationship with an actual person
Who has needs.
of their own,
Mm-hmm.
which may or may not coincide with what I want. So all of a sudden they come home and say, "Honey, I understand my destiny. I need to move to Ecuador." And you're sitting there saying, "You didn't tell me that when I first met you." "I didn't know, but I really need this. I feel guided. I'm hearing the source tell me, move to Ecuador." And you're saying, "Excuse me, I wanted to move to Beverly Hills.
Oh.
I thought we were on the one-way track to Beverly Hills. I thought you had a job in Hollywood. I thought you..." And at that moment, honestly, I don't care if they want to move to Ecuador or not. I'm struggling. Or what's even worse, if they turn around and say to you, "I don't want to be in a monogamous relationship at all. I really see that I need to explore my sexuality with many people," and maybe you don't feel that way, and suddenly, boom, me, this is not satisfying me. Now, does that mean you have to live with somebody who wants to live in a different way from you? No. But it does mean that you have to open up your mind to recognize that that person might in fact need something that goes really against you, that you don't like. And sometimes we can accept it and work with it. Someone who's married to someone who transitions, who's transgender, for example, and that may work out for you, or maybe it won't. Maybe you thought you were marrying a woman and now you're marrying a man, or vice versa. So you always have to be ready to look at the needs of the other person. And I hate that. Don't you?
Yeah, well, it starts with me.
So these things, maybe you're scared to death of raising children. And so suddenly, when we talk about having kids, it was like, "Oh yes, oh that's so cute, and look at the fetal whatever." And then the baby comes along and you're gone. "Oh, I have to work tonight and tomorrow night and yesterday night and the night after that and whatever other night there is. I just have to work. In fact, I'm going to get a second job. We have to have a second job because we need the money," because you're actually terrified of having a child, but you never said so and you never cleared it. I am a counselor. You know that. But sometimes I will say that counseling will help, because sometimes we can begin to understand one another. And when we begin to understand one another, we stop resenting one another so much. It's like, oh, I'm so angry at you that you even suggest that you want to move to Ecuador. I am furious. I mean, how dare you want to transition or whatever it is. Yeah. And we get into these melodramas. We're so indignant. Well, just because we didn't know that that person had that in them, or because it doesn't fit conveniently for us, doesn't give us justification to get mad or put them down. We may not stay in that relationship, but the first thing is to look honestly at the very thing that they are that we don't like. And as Amy asked about earlier, maybe that thing is not so bad. Maybe we can live with that. Maybe that person needs it. Maybe we can open our hearts to what they need. Or maybe through the conversation they realize that the essence of what they need is more self-respect. And there's other ways of getting self-respect other than moving to Ecuador. Do you see what I'm saying? When you start looking deeply at yourselves and one another, you begin to understand what's underneath these seemingly crazy things that people are doing, which may not be crazy at all, may be exactly what they need.
And by doing that, that helps you to come out from under the domination of your own ego.
Exactly. Because we're no longer reacting from our own self-preservation and our own narrow perspective, and we begin to look at the whole and try to understand the other person. Well, I can't believe we are like almost out of time. We are actually out of time. So give us a couple of...
Yeah, here's a couple of additional characteristics.
How we know we're in
how
our
you know
ego.
that you're in your ego. One of them is something is wrong and I'm going to have to fix it.
Yes, absolutely. Me. I'm going to fix it.
Well, I'm going to fix you.
Yes.
And something is wrong and I'm the one suffering.
Oh, yeah, just me.
And something is wrong and it's all my fault.
Absolutely. These are all signs of ego. I can't believe we have to close. Come back next week. I'm going to talk more about the ego and the different facets, and we're going to give you more signs and tips. If you have those kind of thoughts, it's all my fault, or I'm the only one who's suffering, or it's all...
Or I'm the one that has to fix it.
Or I'm the one that has to fix it. You are probably in your ego, feeling separated and separate. The feeling of separation is what kills all love. Whether it's you with a child, or you with a society, or you with your parents, or you with a mate, or you and your friends. It's like, it's all about me. I'm not really trying to understand you. I'm not trying to understand your pain. And I will not support you if it gets in the way of my agenda. Well, maybe it's time for us to address that. So anyway, we'd better quit because it's getting late. Please like and love this show. Please share it with everybody. And we will continue with this series on the ego. It's very important. Share this whole series with people. They might get something out of it. And subscribe to our page. And come and listen to Magical Improvs tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, Thursday, every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific time.
That's
Same
right.
channel, right here.
That's right. Same station. Same everything. 7 p.m. Magical Improvs Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. Lighting the way. Granny Raps and Rocks. Thank you for being with us. And let's hear from you. Let's hear your comments. We know you're there, and we are thrilled to have you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming. Great to have you with us. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.